And welcome to the debut episode of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. I'm Bryan Cady, and if you've seen any of my podcasting in the past, you're probably like, whoa, it's not pro wrestling or baseball, what is this? But hey, you know what? I decided this is something that needed to be properly handled by somebody, so why not me, and why not the head coach of the Albany Academy Bears, the Lady Bears, Coach Bryan Capitula. Bryan, what's going on, man? I'm glad we can make this happen.
I've heard that that's the best announcing I think I've heard of my name as well in a long time. So I got used to hearing that for 4 games during sectional. So I'm just happy we connected and we're able to talk and know that, like, something, I think I brought this up before, but there's definitely a need for something just spotlighting, I think, our local girls. With the talent level that we've had and we still currently have, I think this is a great platform for us. And you being involved so much with all the stuff that happens at Hudson Valley and seeing all the best teams and best kids, and then me just kind of being all over the landscape. So I'm happy that you asked me, and hopefully be a fun ride here.
I appreciate you coming along and see what we can make happen. I know that so here's the birthing. I'll get through the birthing of the podcast first, then we'll talk about our backgrounds quick.
Sure.
So the birthing of the podcast was basically this. Certain people, and I won't get into names, there's no need to. But there were certain people around the area that I felt like, whether it be TV, their own podcast, whatever it may be, just weren't doing things right by the girls and the programs and the coaches. And it's just something that I had seen building over the last few years over the time that I've been doing sectionals and the Amsterdam Holiday Showcase during winter break and states. And then this year it was just like an epiphany, like, yeah, I know how to do that. Like, why not? So I approached Jeff from Empire State Takeover, and I was like, give me some names. And he's like, I mean, the first name I'm going to give you is Bryan Capitula. Anyone else, come see me if he says no. I'm like, okay. So that's how we got to where we are. And I'm glad you said yes, because I really didn't feel like asking anybody else, quite honestly. Because not only do you have the high school background, but you also have Elevate, which you're a big part of, along with Tom Herder. So just real quick, give the rundown.
Sure.
Where you came from, how you got to Academy, how Elevate came to be, and obviously we'll get into more detailed stories as we get through more episodes of the podcast. Obviously.
Yeah. So just my background to start. So I'm a Waterville kid. Grew up in Waterville up until 4th grade, and then moved into the Shenandoah district, and then actually came back in 10th grade back to Waterville and finished out my high school at Waterville. I was lucky to play under Hall of Fame coach. New York State Hall of Fame, and probably in a few other Hall of Fames if he had decided to take the jump. But Coach Mardigan at Waterville was my head coach. So you definitely learned a lot of toughness from him, like adversity and toughness and things like that, what you need to overcome. So that was a huge step. I actually, my first coaching job was baseball. So I was really into baseball. I was never really good at baseball, but I enjoyed baseball. I think just watching and kind of teaching those kind of things. So I jumped on with the JV team in baseball at Waterville right after I graduated, and then took a job out in Saratoga and at the YMCA, and started my own little boys team to kind of play like a local rec team. This was like back in like 2007, 2006, and then did that for a few years, and then decided, hey, I want to probably try to do this a little bit more, and jumped in. And my first coaching thing was Antoine Morrison, who runs Albany Lady Stars. We had connected at some point and said AAU was just kind of blooming for the girls at that point. Like, it's 2007. There's not really too much locally for girls. They had the City Rocks, which was big, but that's pretty much it in terms of girls. You had the Capitals, who have been around forever, but you didn't really have teams that you heard like, oh, this team travels to Chicago. This team travels. Like, you didn't hear that. I had never heard of that before either. So I reached out to him and started my own team inside of his program. We became really good friends and kind of ran that program for a while. And then I decided I want to get into the high school side. So you got to kind of follow the steps, became a modified coach, and was a modified coach for 2 years at Waterville Elite, and then took a modified job at Mohonasen because that's the district that I'm currently in. And then got a really good relationship with Coach Holden at Mohonasen, who was the head coach, and got the head coaching job, and hopped on his staff for 2 years. And then went back to Waterville Elite, and then hopped on a staff with coach there, and was the modified coach there again. And then this came open. So Albany Academy came open. I would say it was the spring of 2020. So COVID and stuff like that was that had just started. It was, I think my interview was in February. So just before the whole world shut down. Had my interview in February, didn't hear anything, and kind of reached out in July of that year and said, hey, just following up. I had applied for a bunch of other positions and jobs and had heard back from a few, but never really. I had 2 interviews and just didn't get the positions. They wanted more experience. And then Albany Academy called. I had a really good conversation with Coach Fruscio, who I've known since I was a little kid. Also being another Waterville Elite guy, everyone knows the Fruscios, just like people knew the Capitulas in Waterville Elite. So he was a huge mentor for like getting the job and then starting the program, and kind of having good talks with him and on what to do and how to like build a program and what kind of culture you want to build, and kind of the culture that you build now will kind of keep going on. And so that was my first year was the fall of 2020. In August, I got the job, and then COVID kind of shut us down. We weren't able to play at all, and finally got approval in January and played 10 games that year. We actually played. We went 8-2 our first COVID year. That was a year coming off of Academy had really good players. I think the year before I remember playing them, and they had some good talent that was there. I think they went like 6-14 the year prior. We had played them at Mohonasen, and we had beaten them. And the following year, I wasn't really sure what was in the cupboard. Like, I wasn't sure who was there. Obviously, when I got there, Sage Randolph was a sophomore. Bella Vincent was a freshman. So there was pieces that were there. Aaron Huban was a sophomore. There were some seniors, the Otati sisters that were there. So there was definitely athletes and basketball players, and we just got going. Like, it got going, and the kids were eager to get things going, and they haven't really looked back. Like, the kids that we have now have been phenomenal, and but I think that's all based off of the first year of having those kids and really wanting to turn this into something special. So it's funny, the person that actually hired me is the current athletic director at Ravenna. So she kind of just took a shot. Like, she took a shot on me to assume, and kind of Coach Fruscio gave good words and kind of more the AAU background than I did the high school background, and took a shot on me. And I'm thankful every day that she did, because there's no place I'd rather be right now than Albany Academy. So.
And now you've gone to state Final Fours back-to-back years. So
yeah,
I think you're doing okay over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible what we've been able to accomplish in the short period of time. Sometimes when you're looking outside and you're like, man, I remember playing Academy and being like, all right, this is the dub. Like, this is the W. Let's circle this. These are 2 wins. That was our main thing the first couple of years, was like, hey, just don't make it. Don't let them be able to just circle the game. Make them have to play us. The girls really took to that. We played Chalmont that first year. That was Peyton's junior year. And they had a really good team. I think we surprised them a little bit. I think they beat us by 8. But I don't think they knew that the players that we had there. And then we had battles with them. Like, I think Peyton shoots 85% from 3-point land and Academy at Albany Academy's gym. So there was no way we could ever beat Chalmont at Academy. But we definitely started building. Like, I would say that second year when we went 16-6, started building and building. And then obviously last year was a great year. We were still a little bit young. We were old at the top and then young on the bench. And then this year we're old on the top, and then we're super young still behind it. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun couple of years with this group that continues on, and it'll be fun. They're just a good group to coach. So I've been lucky enough to be the coach of these girls, and lucky enough that they've allowed me to be their coach. And I think big things. Like, I would never in a million years would I have told you 4 years ago that Albany Academy would have won a sectional title or won a sectional game. So to get where we were this quickly, it's just a testament to how the girls buy into what we're trying to sell them. So we have incredible coaching staff that we have on staff and incredible support all around us at the academy. So it really gives us the ability to do what we need to do. And we've been thankful for that. So.
All right. Sorry, something was happening with my internet for a second.
Good.
I'm good. All right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, obviously you were mentioning that's Peyton Graber, and obviously that team won the state championship that year that you're referring to. 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. So 2 years ago, yep. Yep.
And Haley Burchard and
yeah,
my younger Carissa Antoine and
sure.
Yeah, what was it? Was it Sienna Hallberg? I think.
Sienna, yep.
Yep. So yeah,
they showed us the blueprint. Like, this is how you got to do. Get to work. Me and Jeff talk often. Like, he's a great coach to listen to. He's been through it all, and he's been supportive of, like, get a text randomly like, hey, good luck. I mean, that goes a long way for when coaches are in your league and they support what you're trying to do. So,
all right. Well, y'all learned about Coach Capitula. We'll get to me later because we have two young ladies I've been waiting very patiently that we're going to bring on. A little birdie that I like to call the mayor. I'm sure those two know who I'm referring to as the mayor. Hint, hint, it's one of the fathers of the two girls and not a Duanesburg coach. So that should fill in a lot of the blanks here. So the mayor was telling me these two have been, let's see here, best friends since kindergarten, been playing on the same team since first grade, and now they're both going D1. I'm just going with what I was told. Alex Moses, Allison O'Hanlon, seniors from Duanesburg, just got to the state championship game this year. Were in states 2 years ago, won a Class C title last year as juniors. They've got a lot of hardware, and they're joining us now on the show. Ladies, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. First off, best friends since kindergarten. Just hunky-dory, all sunshine and rainbows? No clashing? Or has everything been nice and easy for the whole 14 years you all have been together?
We've been like best friends since we were like 3. Yep. So it was a little bit before kindergarten, but I mean, obviously with like anything, there's ups and downs, but I mean, we're still just as close as we've ever been. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, correct the mayor. The mayor was wrong. We've been best friends since preschool.
Listen, hey, I go with what he messaged me this morning because Lord knows he was not going to leave me alone, knowing that y'all were coming on the show today. So I trusted his instincts. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Bryan, go ahead.
So I appreciate you guys coming on. I really do. I've been able to watch you guys, like, not only from like sidelines. You guys decided to really kick our butts, I think, 2 years ago. So I appreciate that. Like, you guys were definitely made us better after that. But it's been it's been really fun to watch you guys. Last year, we were able to see you guys play like before us, and this year we were able to attend your games when we weren't playing. And so you guys had incredible high school careers. And you guys are definitely, like, as I watch Duanesburg, and I don't live far away, but you guys are definitely the talk of, like, my boss lives in Duanesburg. So he's definitely talked about, hey, do you see Duanesburg scores? You see Duanesburg scores. So I think once you guys, and I don't realize it all the time either, but I think the impact that you guys had on the community, and I grew up in a really small community too. So the impact that you guys had, like, that's going to last, and you're going to come back to the community and 20 years and they're gonna be like, oh my God, there's Allison, there's Alex. Like, so what you don't see right now, like, the impact you'll have in years from now will be kind of what I'm sure your coach told you, like, after you guys in the locker room and everything happens, but, like, it's a memorable thing. So whether you guys win or lose, the memories that you guys have, it'll be something that you cherish forever. So, but you guys have been so fun to watch. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. One question I have for you guys, and my girls too, I kind of asked the same thing. Any kind of superstitions or, like, pregame routines that you guys normally have?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say definitely our music is important for us. If Adele isn't on our pregame playlist, then it's not going to be a good game. I mean, we need Adele on there, maybe a little bit of Justin Bieber. Rihanna, some good music. That'll set us off for a good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was it. Katy Perry and Wrecking Ball.
Yeah,
those were that like going up to HBCC. Those were blasting. Like you knew Duanesburg was coming when you heard those songs.
Yeah.
Coming up the hill. Yeah, that definitely is a team. For me personally, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have wrist tape that I always do before every game in the locker room. I do that, write my little stuff on it. Pray with my mom, stretch. Just kind of those three things. I actually have a bagel before every game too, which is like really odd. But that's kind of my little routine.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you ask rest of the team too, we like to get Starbucks before the game. That's also very important for everybody. Because, you know, it sets us off on a good foot. We got our Starbucks in our hand, we're good.
Sure. No, I get that.
So in other words, my music sucked any time I played music for you guys pregame.
I didn't hear any Adele, so I mean.
I didn't know you wanted to hear "Set Fire to the Rain." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to do for you.
They couldn't get jiggy with Guns N' Roses playing. That's for sure.
No.
The music is a whole nother discussion for another time. I can't do anything about it. All right. So, question for both of you. Whoever wants to jump in first, go at it. Just curious, what attracted both of you so much to basketball, and why you decided to make it your main focus as the sport you wanted to develop and potentially see where it could bring you down the road?
Yeah, so when I was younger, my dad has always coached basketball. So I grew up in a gym, like I was just always around basketball. But it was never like a thing where it was like, you have to play sport, you have to play basketball. It's kind of just like, you have to do something, I don't care what it is, but you just can't be sitting around at your house. So that was kind of always the thing. And then I can't tell you what it is about basketball, but it's something that I'm drawn to and I just love it. Like it's something that I just want to continue to get better at and continue to grow with. I don't know why. It's just a feeling inside of me. I don't know what it is, but so yeah, that's always just, and when I've gotten better and I've continued to grow and I'm just like, I can just keep hopefully going up and continuing to get at higher levels. So yeah, it's kind of been it.
Yeah, so for me, I think, I don't know, like most people don't know this about my family, but we are diehard Syracuse fans, especially my dad. So I think, like, ever since a little girl, I've been watching the Syracuse games. You know, right when I was born, you know, we were going to the Dome, we were getting all dressed up for the games. So I think just being able to see basketball at that level, ever since like such a young age, I think it's like that was my dream. You know, that started as a goal. You know, as I got older, I started actually playing for myself. And honestly, I just fell in love with the game, and I think it helped. Like, my dad's still in love with the game. You know, he hasn't really played basketball in forever, but he loves to coach, and he really got me into it. And then also my grandfather, like, they were two really big role models for me, and they really encouraged me to keep with it. And then I think, you know, like, around fourth grade, like, I was like, okay, like, after watching the Syracuse games, you know, seeing my older sister play, I was like, you know, like, this is something I want to pursue. Like, this is what I want to do. So.
Awesome. So for you guys, do you and obviously Alex, you're attending Canisius, and then Allison, you're attending Siena, which in itself, you guys are going to play against each other at some point. Have you guys had any talks about like what that might be like if you have to guard each other in college?
I mean, I'm excited for it. I think it honestly, like, if I could describe it, I would say it's going to be a little weird at first, you know, because like we've been hand in hand on the court ever since first grade. So it's like, okay, now I'm going to have to guard her. But I'll definitely help my coaches make the scouting report. I'll say, don't let Allison shoot. That's the number one thing. Do not let her shoot. But, you know, I mean, we play against each other in practice. Like, we guard each other. So it's not, like, foreign. But, like, it's going to be weird, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd piggyback right off that. It's definitely going to be, I mean, we've done it. I credit a lot of my success to her because I had to go against her. I had to work on different finishes so I didn't eat it. So she's definitely pushed me to be a lot better. But at the same time, like, wearing a different jersey and, like, when she hits a three or something like that or stuff somebody, it's going to be really hard for me to be like, that was crazy.
Sure.
But no, I'm excited. I think it'll be weird, but I just think, like, you guys mentioned, like, the Duanesburg community has been awesome. So just to kind of have that environment, like at Siena, when everybody's going to be there, it'll just be super exciting. It'll be weird that we're going to be, like, not together, but it'll be just super exciting.
Right.
And I'm really glad you mentioned the Duanesburg community there towards the end, because I really wanted to ask about that because, you know, Duanesburg, not exactly the size of like an Albany, Schenectady, or Troy. You know, it's tight-knit community, and when things are going well, and we saw this on your side of the court as well as the boys' side with how they did as well with their run through the conference and into sectionals. They get into it and they come out and support you in droves. Obviously evident, most especially when you guys played at Hudson Valley against Greenwich for the Class C title this year, and when you guys played both your games at Hudson Valley for states for the Final Four and the title. How much has that community meant to you? Obviously, because you both talked about your fathers, and the family relevance to your upbringing and your maturity in your game. But being around a community like that, that's so supportive, I mean, got to be huge for you as well. Even if you're having maybe a lull in confidence, it's got to really, make you want to get an extra gear and push yourselves that much further to try and get as much success out of it as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there was one time when I was stepping on in that state final game where I just walked on the court, half court, and I just looked up and I was like, I will never feel this feeling again. Just having all your family and friends and teachers from second grade, just cheering for you. They don't care if you win or lose. I mean, obviously they would love to see you win, but they just are cheering for you and have your back. And it's I can't even put that feeling into words. I get emotional thinking about it. After the game, I was just super emotional. Even though we lost, I was just I'm so thankful for the community and the people that I've been lucky enough to grow up with. It's just so surreal and so special to kind of have a community so small but feel so huge in those moments. I just can't even really put into words how thankful I was for every single community member, whether it was a school, teachers, parents, family members, literally everybody. It was just such a blessing to have them. And even in our away games, when we were in Plattsburgh and what, people came. They didn't have to come on their Saturday, but they traveled. It was so cool.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, obviously, like Allison said, I'm so thankful for all of this. I mean, the amount of teachers who were there, but even, people who don't have a kid in the district, they were still coming to games. They were rooting for us. During the school day, all we talked about before states, all the teachers wanted to know was about the game, what the game plan was. And also just what the community or just even the school does for us before the games. They have our walkthroughs so everyone can clap us onto the bus. And then we got to go see the elementary school kids, and it's nice to see how proud these people are of us. That it's nice to feel that type of support because obviously we know our families support us, but knowing that people we don't even really know support us is a feeling like no other. And also to see all these people that were small pieces of our careers to be able to go to those games, it really is a feeling like no other. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys, I'm sure when you guys have the Allison and Alex camp back at Duanesburg, I'm sure it'll be well attended, I'm sure, in a year or two. So now you guys obviously do a lot of training. And I've obviously seen both of you forever just through AAU circuits and things like that. But what do you guys think? I'll ask you first, Allison, what do you think what part of your game is the most college ready, would you say? If you're ready to step in to college tomorrow, what would you say you'd be able to impact?
I mean, I think as soon as I kind of step on the court, in half court, I'm going to be ready to shoot the ball. Obviously, I kind of pride myself on being able to do every single thing on the court, whether it's playmaking, getting downhill, breaking somebody off the bounce. But I obviously it's and you see right now in college basketball, the number one thing that you can have to play and be successful is to be able to shoot.
Sure.
So I definitely feel just kind of the work that I put in with my dad, he's always been my number one rebounder. Just the amount of reps and the amount of confidence I have in my shot. I feel that's definitely going to translate pretty much right as soon as I get into Siena.
Awesome. Yeah,
and for me, I'd say probably my strongest part of my game, and I think the best thing I could contribute to my Canisius team. Obviously I think on the court it would be I'm a big point guard, right? I'm 5'9" point guard, which is good for college. That's what every college coach wants. But also I think more off the court and on the sidelines, I think I pride myself in being a leader.
Sure.
And I was talking to my dad earlier actually, and he was if you could pick any player that you would say is your role model, who would it be? And actually she just She had her grad year at Canisius this year, but I'd say Grace Heaps, because I'd like to compare my game to her because I think that she's such a vocal player, and then also she came to Canisius, it was her first year there, and she led the team, and they had a really successful year, so it's if I'm stepping into that role, those are big shoes to fill, but that's what I want to be like. I want to be like Grace Heaps. I want to keep the energy up, but also be a captain, a leader, and lead the team. So.
That's awesome. It's funny that you say that. So I actually talked to Coach Cunningham on Monday. That's assistant there, and that's what we were just talking in general about some kids and stuff. But she said the same thing. She's like, I need to clone 10 Grace Heaps just in terms of her vocal and her culture that she brought to the team, and just being here. She's like, I really wish that she was here longer than 1 year. So yeah, that's definitely, I agree. I think that you have the same qualities that she has, just watching you play. So I agree. I think that's something that you would immediately impact.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Don't cry, but I got to put up a picture real quick because it's transitioning into the next person I want to ask both of you about. This guy right here. He's passionate. He loves ball, and he loves Duanesburg. Chris Herron, head coach for you ladies. Every time I saw him the last few years, just the pride beaming. Going back to your sophomore year when I first met everybody from Duanesburg, and you still had Madison Meyer on the team, to your run junior year being stopped by Greenwich. This year, you get redemption against Greenwich. You go to the championship game at the state level. How much has Coach Herron meant, and Alex, I'll let you start with this first. How much has Coach Herron meant to your development, both on the court as players as well as human beings off the court? Because I feel like any good coach, or I should say great coach, they want to try and make that go hand in hand, both your development as a human being as well as a player.
Yeah, so, I could talk forever about how much I love Herron. Really, as far as, a role model, he's been fantastic. So I've played for Herron for both sports, soccer and basketball since 8th grade. So, obviously I got my 3 dads. I got my dad, my actual dad, the mayor, Coach Pat O'Hanlon, and then also Herron. I really do consider him a dad. He really has been so influential for me. I don't even know, I can't even put it into words, I think that having him, in school, but then also on the field or the court has just been really amazing. And I think part of being such a good coach is obviously, this year and then 10th grade and 11th grade, we've had such a talented team, but part of being a good coach is making those players mesh together well and playing good on the court. You could have 5 amazing basketball players on a team, but if they don't play well together, then it means nothing, right? So I think for him, he really brought the team together. He knew exactly what to do. We each had our roles. He assigned them, and it really worked together. Especially this year. You guys saw it on the court. And a huge part of that goes to Herron. So.
Yeah, obviously he's a great coach. There's not a lot of people better at drawing up an X and O right at the end of a game, right? You can talk about how many games we had this year that were 2-point, 3-point games, and he was drawing up plays that were we were getting shots. So he's great at that, obviously. And yeah, like she said, he's a great guy, and just the amount of pride and joy he has in us and that we have in him is it's unreal. And I'm not even ashamed to talk about, there were so many times these past few years where I was just having a rough day or we're just a little bit out of it, and he was always the first person I could go and just get a hug. It's so much more than basketball to him. Obviously he loves it, and we love it, and that's what kind of brought us together. But he calls us his girls. He's always somebody you could go, if you need something, you can go to Herron, go to Herron's room, get a pass, go call. So it's just deeper than basketball, and he knows that, and he knows that we love him, and he loves us. So it's been awesome to be able to go from 6th grade all the way up these past 6 years with him. So
that's awesome. Is he ever not smiling? Because all I've ever seen him is he's always smiling. No matter what, he'll be smiling. I watched the Greenwich game, even the last game. He's always smiling, and it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch your dad too, Allison, on the bench. The biggest cheerleader I think of anybody else. if he was in the crowd, like he'd be jumping up and down with a sign. Like,
Yeah.
it was really, it's fun to watch both of them and like the joy they take in the team really, really doing well. So
Coach Harrod is not smiling though when he's trying to work the referees. I know that.
He's bright red. But what I do think is funny is that he's always smiling, he's always up. But it was not fun on Saturday mornings when everybody was like dead at 8 a.m. and he was just bouncing around like, why is everybody not smiling? And we're like, dude, it's 8 o'clock. Like,
right.
Chill. But yeah, no, he's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So my last question. So what do you feel like the best part of this year, like sectionals, regionals, and then finals? What was what do you take from this year, like that you're going to take with you for the rest of your basketball journey?
I think there's kind of two things. I think one is that it's about the journey, not the final destination. Obviously, that's not how we wanted it to end. We felt like we were the best team in the state, and to not be able to actually come out on top is it hurts a lot. But that just goes to show, like, you can have a sucky ending, but the middle is what matters, right?
Sure.
So just kind of the ups and downs that we had throughout the year. But just like the great memories and the great times with the people, that's what's gonna like stick out. Like, yes, you wanted the ending, the Cinderella story, but it's really the middle that really just matters. And also just like the bonds that we had this year with people. Like, obviously basketball is so important and to me and a lot of other people, but it's really like the people that you're doing it with.
Yep.
Like, that's what you're going to take away in 30 years. Like, I'm going to be able to call her and be like, yo, what's up? How's life? Like, you're not really going to remember the sectional final game, whatever. In that one call, like, you're going to remember like, oh, Alex, like, that's my dog. So.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the best part about it is being able to look back, in a few years and just see the legacy that we left behind for Duanesburg girls basketball and just Duanesburg in general. I think it's hard, obviously no one wants to win or lose the state championship by 1 point. Like, that was definitely hard, but it doesn't make me, feel bad about the whole season. I think even now looking back on it, like, I'm so proud of us. I think that we really exceeded everyone's expectations. Really our main goal was make it back to state semifinals, like where we left off our 10th grade year. So we met that. I mean, obviously falling 1 point short really hurts, but I think that like that shouldn't cause us to look bad back on, ever since first grade. Like, it's really like I'm so happy that I got this experience. I mean, really from our Duanesburg team, we've gotten so many amazing experiences that like I never would have imagined I've had. Like, for me, luckily, I've gotten to play with both my sisters. My older sister, Ella, I got to, go on our little states run in my 10th grade year. And then my younger sister, Mia, was on the team this year. So not only do I get to share these moments with my best friends, but also I got to share them with my sisters. And, I can't even put into words how much I loved that. So.
Right. That's awesome.
Well, I'm going to focus on that final moment real quick. I hate to do it, but I have to because I have a very specific question for one of you. Because I think about this moment once in a while still, and it's been 11 days, 10 days, I don't know, whatever. My math is only good for when I'm off the air. The most heartbreaking Polaroid moment I've had in my memory from the 4 years I've announced states now was the end of the game and number 30 looking so helpless, looking up at the scoreboard. Well, first there was the horn clearly going off when the 3 went in and you asking for more time, which I thought was hilarious in hindsight now. But then you stop, you turn to midcourt, and you just look up. So the question I have there, Allison, was there anything specific going through your mind in that moment? Or was it just kind of like a giant just exertion of everything? Like, whew, all right,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like 1, there's more time on the clock. 2, she got fouled. 3, I mean, it was like that's the last that's it. That you're down right now. You're down by 1, and that's the last horn. And like you're looking at Duanesburg and Moravia, and you're down, and you're a senior, and that's it. That's the last game, and it's like, but you're not excited. So it was just like, I mean, like as an athlete, like those, like that's a heartbreaker. Like for me, like I wanted to win that game so badly, not just for myself, not just for my team, but for all the hundreds of people that were on that side. So it was just like you didn't do it. Like you didn't come through. I mean, it was definitely like a really emotional moment for me, but I mean that's what it is. We lost by 1, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep going so I don't start doing something. So I'm going to go through a few pictures real quick, and I'm going to just let y'all just throw out the first things that come to mind. And Alex, if you don't like any of these pictures, a lot of them were from your bestie next to you. So don't blame me, okay?
Okay, all right. I won't.
So here's the first one. All right.
Yeah.
So
we both have our matching Q's headband.
I was there a little matching Syracuse headband.
Is that Colony you're playing?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you know roughly how long ago this was? Like what grade level?
This got to be 4th, maybe.
I would say 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
Very young.
And Allison clearly hit her growth spurt first, it looks like. So we'll just go with that.
I don't think I've grown since then. I think I was 5'7".
You just peeked right out there, and that was it. Okay. There's this one. That's probably even younger, it looks like, if I had to guess.
Oh,
yeah, that's probably like 1st or 2nd grade. Yeah.
And then I've got this one.
That's my favorite.
That one's young.
I was gonna say that's probably the most adorable one out of the bunch.
She made me that necklace.
I did. I was gonna say that. I made that for her. Mm-hmm.
Oh, do I have to ask whose jersey that is, by the way? If you had to guess.
I mean, obviously it's a Syracuse jersey.
Looks like 5. It's either 5 or 3. I don't.
Well, if it's 3, I could probably guess.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if it's 3, I could probably take a good guess. It's probably the rumored potential next Siena men's head coach, Jerry McNamara.
Mm-hmm.
As a Carolina fan, I won't comment on that. Then I got this baby right here.
That's also one of my favorites. That's after we won. Well, this was we did like we played for Shalmont for a little bit, and that's when we won the championship. We beat Bethlehem in the championship. That was a big deal.
That was a very big deal to us.
And I don't know if you see that picture, the way we have our legs crossed, but we've remade that picture maybe 1,000 times from each of our milestones. Like when she got her 1,000, we remade that picture. When we won sectionals 10th grade year, we remade that. So it's the iconic picture.
That's really cool.
Okay, so you have a distinct pose, all right.
Yep.
So the first time you'll play each other in MAC play at UHY in Loudonville, we know the pose you're going to do. Okay, all right.
Yep, we'll be remaking that.
Yeah, I have a question. What is it about Uggs, like throwing Uggs on after games too? Like my kids, all the girls do it. It's either the Uggs or the slip-ons. Are they just super comfortable immediately after the game, or?
Listen, I am a die-hard Ugg fan. You see me after every game, I got my little Ugg slip-ons on. I mean, they are so comfortable. I could talk about Uggs for 30 minutes about how much I love them. So comfortable.
I can't say much because my wife got me into Crocs a few years ago, and now I swear by them. So I can't say anything. All right, 2 more here. This one, which is pretty self-explanatory. What comes to mind when you see this photo right here for either one of you?
I would just say one, we're locked in. Like that's a scary sight when you see that, to us both locked in. And I think it's just like a testament that it's like always been us. Like obviously we've had great teams, and that's not just us, but like this is like our duo. Like that's us. That's kind of what comes to mind when I see that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's like, this is a little dramatic, but like when we're getting ready for games, like even before the States game, we're like, it's us two against the world, like it's always us two. It's always going to be us two, even when we're going against each other, it's going to be us two,
Yeah, I agree. that's definitely game faces, and I wouldn't want to cross Alex at that point. So
No, I'm not doing anything to Alex. I'm not doing anything.
Nah.
I'm
I
not.
know, I look mad.
Allison,
Yeah.
Allison looks a little more in her feels, kind of, sort of during this anthem. Alex is more like, I just want to punch a woman. That's all I want to do right now. I want to just get out there. I want to punch a girl. I want to dive in a ball and hurt somebody. Like, I don't know. That's
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The last one, I think, is the senior class from this year. We're gonna figure this out in 2 seconds. Let me see here. Hold on. Yeah, that looks like the senior class for this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, we know about 34. She's basically been a fellow ride or die this whole journey the last few years. And Allison Bates, who was clutch in a lot of the games this postseason, by the way. But I want to focus specifically on the one next to Alex. Now, obviously, Alex mentioned playing with Ella 2 years ago and Mia this year. Miss O'Hanlon, you have a fraternal twin.
I do. I do have a fraternal twin.
I'm assuming a little more psychotic than the relationship you've had with Alex over the years?
Yeah, no, it's been...
Because it's funny, because like on the court, it looks like y'all two have never had an argument in your lives, you and Kate. But there's no way, because you're still sisters. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, it's Kate's world and I'm living in it.
Oh, okay. All right. Even though you have the basketball scholarship, it's still her world.
100%. It's not even a question. Ask anybody. It's her world.
And Alex is agreeing, so I'm not even going to bother asking. Okay. All right.
It's funny how many times you could ask if that's your sister or that's a cut. Because I got asked it twice watching your game. Is that her sister or is that her cousin? And I said, I think it's her sister. Like
yeah, and it's like usually my brother. My brother people think that they're twins, and then I'm like adopted or something. So yeah.
See, now maybe it's just because I have no life. I knew they were twins. I just didn't know they were fraternal twins till last night. Because I'm the guy that's not going to be the one that says identical. And then, nope, not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're good on that. Let's see if there's something else here. Oh, 2 other things. Number 1, didn't mention AAU for either of you. Miss Moses, I know T-Flow still has his claws in you. He's got you coaching now this year. Are you coaching with Carissa, or do you both just happen to be coaching different teams?
So Carissa is coaching the 8th grade B team, and I'm lucky enough to have, I think it's 12 5th graders. I'm coaching the 5th graders, so they're a tough group, but I think, being able to come back to Havoc and instead of, running the sprints, I get to tell people to run the sprints, so that's definitely nicer. And it puts like a perspective on basketball for me. I've prided myself on having a high basketball IQ, but I think now being able to coach, it just being able to see, obviously they're only in 5th grade, but it just puts a totally different perspective on basketball for me.
I see positives and negatives with 12 5th graders. Negatives, they're 5th graders. Positives, hypothetically, they should listen to what you say, right?
Listen, I'm very nice to them. They respect me. So far, I think tonight was my 3rd practice with them. I'm still learning the names because 12 is a lot.
It is.
But no, they're really cute. So.
Did you ever think how I was never this little while you're like coaching them, I've never been this size?
Well, yeah. So my littlest sister Sammy, she's in 6th grade.
Yeah.
She just started playing Havoc too, so they all practice together. It's like 5th through 7th grade or 6th grade, or and watching her play, it's just funny to think like she wears my old practice jersey to Havoc practices, and it's like huge on her. And I'm like, man, like when I was in 6th grade, like in 5th grade, I do not remember being that tiny.
Right.
I was like, like watching those 5th graders, like I was getting buckets when I was in 5th grade, so like. But, yeah.
And then the other side of it, Allison, you were with the Capitals. Did you get coached directly by Julie McBride, or you were on her squad?
Yeah, she was actually I think stopped coaching AAU for a little while, and then she actually like started up again.
Okay.
Because it was like me and actually Ellie Surf. She wanted to like give us a chance to like have a really good program. So she kind of started back up again for me, which I'm super thankful for because she's the best. But yeah, she was my coach the past 4-5 years. Yeah.
And not sure if you saw this on social media in the last week. Now she's teaming up with Tay Fisher's AAU program.
Yeah,
A little Santa connection
Tay's
there.
in the gym, right? I think they both have part of that Troy gym.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, Capitals and Siena, the world's emerging.
I know.
Kind of weird. All right. Before I give an ultimate last question, I have an individual last question for Allison, because I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up from today. So the head coach that was recruiting you has announced his retirement. Obviously, there's only so much information out there. There's only so much you can react with, but just in general thoughts on him retiring and where you're at in your cabeza about what's going to happen next for you.
Yeah, so he actually, I mean, I've been hearing stuff for like a week and a half, but he called me earlier today, kind of before everything started coming out, because he wanted to kind of just let me know before I saw it on Twitter or something like that. And he was like, he just kind of wanted to like take me through his thought process and what's kind of going on in his world. So obviously my first reaction is like, I really wanted to play for you. I really wanted to like win games, go to the March Madness with you. So, I mean, that's what I've been planning on for the past 3 years. Like, that's what I was set on. Like, we were going to do great things. But at the end of the day, like I said to him, like, we've built such a great relationship over the past 3 years that I care more about you and your life than basketball at this point. So it's like for him and what he needs to do for him and his family, I was 100% in support of that. So as much as I was, like, really sad and, like, hurt about that, not hurt, but, like, I was just like, it was just I was happy for him. That's where his life and God was leading him, and I was gonna be happy for him. But then also it's like who's gonna be, obviously y'all know that coaching culture, that matters. That matters a lot at this next level. So obviously it's gonna open up things. Like Coach Terry is obviously candidate, and there's Will Brown. There's a bunch of other people that are trying to get that job. So obviously it will depend, and I'll know more about kind of how I'm feeling when somebody steps, when they announce who they have as their head coach. But it definitely, it changes a lot, right? But go with the flow.
All right, last thing I want to ask both of you to do before we wrap it up, because I know we've already kept you far too long. You said you shook your head no. Okay, I'll go another hour and a half. I don't care.
Listen, they can just take over. We'll jump off. You guys take over from here, and we're good.
Y'all can break down the entirety of Class C. Go. No kidding. No. So I don't know, and neither of you know if this is going to be like your last opportunity to speak in an open forum with any member of the media. Not that I'm a member of the media. I'm not in radio anymore, and I mean, Bryan might think he's in media now. Who knows? I don't know. His head's going to get too big now. But no, I'm kidding. Last words that you want your families, Duanesburg community, you want them to hear as you come to close out this journey with your graduation, obviously, in a few months, and then taking your next steps into the college world.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I mean, I think to put it in easy words, thank you. It's been such an amazing ride, ever since first grade. Like, I mean, just to start off thinking, like, I can't give enough thanks to her dad, Coach Pat. He's been one of my biggest fans since first grade. And, my second dad, like, he really has always been there for me. He's always been one of my biggest fans. And having him on the bench has been amazing since first grade, one of my favorite coaches ever. And then obviously Coach Heron, I mean, having him since 8th grade, we bump heads a little bit because it was soccer and basketball with him. But, I mean, he really has been nothing but the best. And then I would say thank you to my family, obviously. My mom, my dad, and my sisters. Then also, You know, my Grammy, I don't know if you guys see her. You know, she's always at my games. I think it's hard, you know, obviously losing my grandfather was really tough, but you know, this isn't talked about, but it was so nice. I mean, it happened last year during basketball season, which was, I mean, obviously really hard for me, but just like even the community support was even there for me when my grandfather died. You know, the basketball team showed up to his wake, so it was like just knowing that I had those people in my life is just like amazing. Like they were there for me in one of my hardest times. You know, that's one of the hardest things I'll ever have to go through. And like my best friends were there for me. You know, they came and they live all the way out in Morrisville. It's not close. Like they drove an hour and a half to be there for me. So I think like I can't explain my gratitude towards everybody. Like I really like I think everybody who's always been there for me in support of my basketball career, and then also lastly the community. I mean you guys saw it at the games. Like everybody was there. Like I can't think of a person from Duanesburg that wasn't at both the states games, and then also when we went to Potsdam and Plattsburgh, like people were there, like because not only do they want to see the games, but they're going to support us. So I think just a constant feeling of support from obviously my family, the coaches, and then just the team and community has made my basketball career like what it is today, and it's just amazing. So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what she said is totally how I feel. One, I think like one thing I want to be remembered in this jersey in Duanesburg is like, look what you can do with God and look what you can do with great people. That's kind of what is like a main thing for me. But I think this was kind of my tweet. I think it was like, thank you, Duanesburg. Like, I love you. Like, there's not, like she said, I can't really put into words like how much everybody is mean to me. Even her dad, her dad in my phone is dad too. Like, he's the best. I really can't put into words how much this has meant to me. Like to be able to play basketball for somewhere and make it feel so much like I'm at home. I mean, it is home. We live here, but for like something like a team, like a community to feel like home, just meant a lot to me. Like this past AAU year was really hard on me. I kept getting hurt. I felt there was a bunch of things where I felt like people were downing me and giving up on me. So just for especially this past year, for them to allow me to like be myself and just like kind of like grow, it really means so much to me. All the people, all the coaches, community, teachers, whatever. So it's just like, I love you. Like, thank you, everybody, for the past, even since we were 5. Like, thank you. Like, it has meant the world to me. And I'm so forever thankful and blessed for all of it.
That's awesome. The one thing that I'll tell all our kids too, which you guys will take, and I'll keep watching you guys, but just keep proving yourself right. You don't owe anybody else. Like, no, you don't have to prove anything to anyone at this point. You've had these careers. Like, write down what you think you need to prove yourself. Don't worry about any other noise. Like, you'll hear people like, why is she doing this? How did she go there? How did she do this? Like, at this point, just keep proving yourself right, and I think good things will happen for both of you guys. You guys work hard as heck, and I'm definitely excited to see like what the next level is for both of you guys. So you guys not only have the support of Duanesburg, but you have the support of all the girls in Section 2 that are behind you, that are looking up to you guys. So I appreciate all that stuff that you guys have done just for our whole basketball community in the 518. So
thank you.
Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And then one more question. Would you guys rather take the ride to Potsdam again, which was got to be the worst ride in history, or like the deadliest catch boat, like one of those boats?
Like, I won't lie, being on a charter bus in the windy back roads, like,
It was the worst.
I was like bent over. I was like, I'm gonna throw up.
It was so bad. It was the worst ever. I would take a helicopter to Potsdam if you ever played there again.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yes, that was a game that I rolled my ankle, so the way back, that was so bad.
Over.
Like, I was just sitting there going through those turns, and my ankle was on fire. I was like, I cannot do this. This is not real. Put me on one of those deadliest catch boats. I would rather be there.
I promise I would do this. So, like I mentioned, your sophomore year was when I first came across this team because you guys played in the Amsterdam Holiday Classic or Showcase, which Eric Doomer from Amsterdam puts together every year around the Christmas break. That's when I learned about you two for the first time and watched you play, and I was like, oh, okay. And the last few years, I made y'all my team because aside from Eric Doomer, I have no ties to Amsterdam. I was born and raised in Albany. I don't really care. But y'all been amazing the last 3 years, and yes, like Alex has asked me, I will be at UHY, providing everything works out for Sienna, and yeah, I'm gonna try to not become a mess, but thank you,
Yeah,
because
thank you.
for everything you guys meant to the community. I know how much the community to me. Reverse that. The community is meant to you. I know you've meant a lot to the community, and I know that Cap feels the same way when I wish you the best of luck. And don't be strangers. You know, come around, visit once in a while. I know you'll be in Buffalo. That's gonna be a little tough for you, Alex. I get that.
Sorry.
But you, the other one that was playing with her hair earlier before I brought her on the screen. Yeah, don't be a stranger, all right?
I expect you to frame that purple shirt. We could sign it for you.
It is in the dirty laundry right now. So
After it's clean, frame it.
Keep it there.
well, if I frame it, shut up. If I frame it, you can't sign it. So let's get the signing first, and then I'll frame
Sign
it.
it, then you frame it. Fine.
Right. Oh God, I'm a mess. This is ridiculous. Alex, Allison, you're the best. Wish you all nothing but the best, and we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you for coming on tonight. I know it's been a crazy year, and hopefully things will be a little bit less crazy, so you can enjoy the last few months of high school. Congratulations, girls.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, and we got a lot of love for both of you guys, and we really appreciate you for having us on. So yeah,
Thank you
thank
guys.
you guys.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Allison O'Hanlon, Alex Moses. Yeah, sorry, unprofessional, but
We're gonna get these sponsored by a Kleenex company soon.
listen, I've had enough Kleenex the last couple of days. Don't get me started. I'm fighting it. Anyways, yeah. So you all met Cap. You all met Allison and Alex. Why do I matter in this equation? It's a good question. Why do I matter in this equation, Cap? I don't know. No, it's just you know, as much as it's weird because as a fan, I was always baseball first. When it came to being a young athlete, I was always basketball first, even though I was better at baseball, which I know makes zero sense. But then between breaking one ankle my 8th grade year and then spraining both ankles during freshman tryouts for baseball and basketball at CBA, I decided enough was enough.
Sure.
And yeah, and then I honestly didn't even think about starting to get involved in sports again in any way, any shape, form, or fashion until when did I start? 2014. The 14-15 season was my first season of basketball. So this is just finished my 10th season of basketball overall. Started getting involved with states on the girls' side in 2018 as the B announcer behind Jim Malone for 2 years, the legend himself, who just opened and closed St. Rose. That's how long he's been around. He opened and closed that gym. And then I was given the reins after COVID and just been picking up spots here and there. Mark Bubniak won't leave me alone, so I guess I'm the voice of sectionals the last few years. And
awesome.
Yeah, that's what brings me here. And then when you get annoyed with everybody not doing their jobs, you decide, fine, I'll make it my job.
Myself.
Yeah.
I think the lasting thing that I'll remember just from sectionals, on top of our own team, is your call when Holy Names decided to just have a shootout, and you. I don't know where you pulled it from. Maybe you had it written down, but you said we got a shootout at the Hudson Valley Corral. That I think, and I had my aunt Sophie, who was watching the games on TV too. She goes, I love him. Like, where does he come up with this stuff? I'm like, listen, he may have it written down. It's all off the cusp, but like, that's a great call. So I love that you're part of this as well for the last 10 years. And we're lucky to have you just as much as you feel like you're lucky to be here. So
I thank you for that. Where do I go with that? All right. So first off, the only stuff I ever have prepared in front of me are, and I think you've seen it a couple of times when I've asked you for your starters and verified your rosters. Literally,
sure.
That's all I have prepped ever for a game is rosters in numerical order, and then spots to keep track of fouls and timeouts. That's it. I don't prep one-liners ahead of time. If pops, actually no, correction. I'll only prep one thing for one-liners, and that's make note of nearby landmarks if I want to reference one on a deep three-pointer.
Sure.
That's it. Any of the other one-liners, they're off the top of the dome.
They're all me.
So
you threw one in there from juniors. You did that. That was the same game, I'm pretty sure. So.
Oh, Hudson Valley, you've got juniors. You have Deli and Brew. There's Taco Bell. There's Joe Bruno's. I did the Joe Bruno Stadium a couple of times. I know for a fact this year. I think I did the football field once this year. I'm all over the place.
That's funny.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's remarkable. I've been extremely humbled, especially this year. I don't know why this year it happened, but. And this isn't to puff my own ego, it's just being honest. When people come up to me afterwards and compliment me on my announcing, I'm not fishing for compliments.
Sure.
Like I don't care about it. I care about two things: saying everyone's name correctly and making it as halfway entertaining for people to listen to as it is for them to watch.
Yep.
And as long as I'm doing that and it doesn't come off as over the top and ridiculous, like I'm part of and one back in the day, then I'm good.
You're good.
But for whatever reason this year, a lot of Academy people, it helps that I had a friend who got me into radio that's part of the board of trustees of Academy now, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, a lot of people from Academy.
You had a lot of good games. There was a lot of good games.
Catholic Central.
Competitive games.
I know me and Coach Hood had a few interactions during that title game a week and a half ago because he, for whatever random reason, he was sitting right behind me. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then obviously that game was nip and tuck the whole way through. So he's chirping, and it was probably one of the worst officiated title games I've seen in a long time.
That's what I mean. To have 4 fouls and basically a quarter is insane.
Yeah, and I remember looking back at Hood at one point. I'm like, I ain't gonna stop you from saying anything, Hood. You brought a state title to Green Tech. I'm not. You do whatever you want. I'm a state facing forward.
Right.
But yeah, like it was. It's always fun. And I enjoy forming the relationships that I form, whether you, the other coaches around the section. I know we referenced Jeff from Chalmont.
Yeah,
we'll definitely try to have him on some point because he's a real good dude. Yeah, that's the thing. Like this podcast isn't about me to prove anything. It's not about you to prove anything. We're gonna be taking this to spotlight and showcase the people that deserve it.
Yep.
Will we occasionally talk about stuff that might be Academy specific or me specific if I'm doing an event that's coming up? Obviously. Yeah, sure. I mean, we have the platform. But this is about showcasing everyone else and their efforts and their work and what they're doing around the area. Yep. Like for Section 2, for example, like sectionals in general, I think this was, when you talk about the championship games, it was probably the best year of sectional title games I've had the chance to announce so far.
Yep.
Between Like, honestly, Northville versus, hold on, let me get the bracket out. Northville Gibbons.
Yep.
I mean, that went the way I think a lot of people expected, honestly.
Sure.
And also didn't help that Mia Rose Wiley got hurt during the title game.
Sure.
But Northville did their thing. They eventually got to the state finals. Let's see. Class C, obviously, Duanesburg, Greenwich. That was one of those coin flip games where I think nobody really knew what was going to happen until they got out there. And
such a weird flow that game too.
Yeah, it was
just
a very weird
trouble and
a very weird flow with foul trouble. Plus, if there was, and this is something that I thought going into sectionals and what I thought was eventually going to be states for them. I feel like the only way Greenwich could lose this year was them having a bottom of the barrel game for their potential, for their talent. And it was just, you combine a bad shooting night with a team that had revenge on their mind from the year before, with the double C playoff game that Greenwich beat Duanesburg in. Allison O'Hanlon and Alex Moses weren't going to be denied that night, and they just made it happen, honestly.
Yeah, they got eye of the tiger. They definitely had eye of the tiger the whole time, just watching. I was able to watch that game in full, and it was just they were like they weren't ever going to let Greenwich really get into the game. That's what they kept doing. Greenwich would hit a shot, and then they just weren't letting them get in the game. They would be like, all right, you're going to hit that shot. I'm going to hit reverse layup. So,
yeah, it was like every time Greenwich had like 2 or 3 consecutive good plays, James was like, okay, we're going to run off 3 or 4 now. Like, it was always 2 steps forward, 3 steps backward that whole game for Greenwich, it felt like. Especially with Rojas and foul trouble that whole game. It was just, like you said, there was no flow to it for the Witches in that game. It felt like, just because of the trouble with Rojas.
Yep.
Class B, gee, I'm trying to remember who won. Oh, right. You won Class B. That's right. Overall, Class B, I have to say I was Mechanicville impressed me. I always thought highly of Kiana Christmas at Fonda Fultonville.
Yep.
But obviously your squad you're built differently right now. And you've been built differently for, obviously going back to last year, you still had Sage and Stiliana. This year you had Bella as a senior, but then you had 4 underclassmen starting with her. Like, you guys have been clearly built for the future. Even going back to 2 years ago, because you knew who you had coming up.
Sure.
You knew who was coming next. And you guys just found the flow and rode it all the way to the state finals.
Yeah, and I think that game too, more than any, I think the sectionals, having a 10th grade point guard and having to sit behind someone, there was something that really switched on Liana Williams. It happened probably maybe 5 games left in the year, where she realized, all right, I can compete at a higher level than what I'm doing, and I can be part of this, and I can score, and I can do these kind of things. So her run, I think, in the sectionals and then into those 2 games are her games. Like, the Liana Williams games are our semifinal and then our final, just with her ball pressure. And Mechanicville was a terrific team, and so is Stillwater. Like, Stillwater, you're gonna announce Stillwater next year, because that group they have, they're 9th graders, so they're where we were 2 years ago. But she had something switch on, and just the pressure that she gave to Mechanicville, because once they get stuff set up, they're tough. Like, she just didn't let it ever happen. So, and then just a run. Like, I honestly, we went out to Saranac we went out to play Saranac, and we knew Saranac was going to be tough at Averill Park, and we didn't play very well the first half, and halftime was kind of a quiet locker room, and just kind of said, listen, like, it's 0-0 right now. It was 24-23 or whatever the heck it was, or 24-25. It's 0-0, regroup. Then they gave up the rest of the game. They gave up 5 points. And then we go out to Potsdam, have a terrible ride. We start kind of okay. And then we look up at halftime, and they only scored 6 points. So we had given up 11 points total in 4 quarters. And they were kind of like, oh, man, I didn't even realize that we had done that. So when you're in the game and then coming home and watching the tape of Reese, obviously, with Southwest, and watching her and being like, man, she's good. Like, they got some good players. They got good size. That was just our team. They had been to that game before, and they weren't going to get denied getting to the final. So I honestly didn't even – I was in the moment. I didn't realize what the score was. And I had apologized to some of my kids that I didn't put in at the end because I didn't realize the score. Like, it was – I thought it was still close, like within 15, 20 points, and like, okay, we can't sub yet, and realizing it's more than that. And then the final is just – it is what it is. It's a bad 3-4 minutes of a game, and you're up 7 going into the 4th. You think you have a pretty good feel of but kids got tired a little bit, and they'll learn from it. Like, it's always a learning experience, right? Like, when they lose, and there's things I could have done differently. There's things that we could have done differently defensively, but Ella Trinkus is an animal. So I won't have to see her hopefully next year at all, like in sectionals and the rest of the Trinkuses. But she just went off the whole 4th quarter, and we didn't really have an answer and missed some hoops here and there. But just overall, like, I couldn't be prouder than all my kids, and just the way they play and the way that they control their – I think the number one thing that I always – whether wins or losses, 4 or 5 of the older men come up afterwards and always say, like, that's the most composed, that's the most they play hard, they play the right way, and there's no talk. Like, it's we play how they play, and they don't like, I love the emotion, and they can have emotion, but ultimately, like, they play the right way, and they play how I would want to play if I was on the court. So they definitely adapt some of my style, but they just play the right way. They play hard, and when something happens, they're put their hand out to help somebody up. So that's kind of that's our thing. Like, you knock somebody down, respect them, and pick them back up, which they all have. So it was a great run, and we had a lot of fun doing it, and we hope we get right back to the same place next year. We're obviously moving up to the A's next year now, so we'll have some more competition within our own area with Holy Names right down the street for the A sectional himself, and then who knows what happens later on. So,
you want to talk about shootouts at the Corral? Sophia Bologna for a year still against Alex Leonard.
Yeah, right. Just,
oh man,
whoever makes the most threes wins.
Yeah, just put them out there like Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, right?
There you go. That's it. That's all. We agreed to that, and everyone just gets a rack of balls, and whoever makes more.
Exactly. That's crazy. Real quick, there's actually one thing I want to bring up about your team, and that is, because of, for lack of a better phrase, I mean, team was pretty beat up once you got past sectionals.
Yep.
Like, I know States was trying for pretty much everybody in the starting 5 at some point or another.
Yep.
And girls who really impressed me, obviously Madison Leonard had 1 or 2 really big performances during that time.
Yep.
I think it was particularly the game up in Potsdam, I think, was the one where she really popped off and performed. And then Maggie Zayak, just consistent, even keel, doesn't let the moment get to her. Yep. And Thornton, Emily Thornton, the same thing too. She just goes in, she knows her job, she goes in, she does it. Give you a few buckets once in a while when she gets the open look. And I mean, those three really impressed me off the bench during this run, being so poised and so confident to go in, not let the moment get too big for them, and just do their jobs. Yeah.
Maddie in Potsdam was huge. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, like Bella hurt her ankle in the Saranac game, like to the point where they think she'd had some ligaments that were maybe torn and played through it. And then Morgan had a bone bruise in her knee, also the same game. So, I mean, we didn't have an option. Like, we were talking to each other, like, all right, we have 3 other kids on the bench. What do we do? And Maddie Leonard just, she has it in practice, and she has the shooting ability. And Alex will tell her that she shoots the ball. She has better form than Alex does. That's what Alex will always say. But she just stepped right in. Like, it wasn't too big for her. Like, whatever role she played all year, she had played earlier in some of the games, and she stepped right in, and there was no drop off. Her and Maggie played phenomenal in that Saranac game, or not Saranac, I'm sorry, in the Potsdam game. against Gouverneur. And but I think, like, if anyone knew what Bella Vincent really did, like, I think that game at Southwest with basically 1 foot and had 20, and we got treatment. We're lucky to have a trainer on staff, and she got treatment as much as she could. But realistically, every time Morgan came out, she couldn't walk. Like, so just the heart of those kids to be able to do that. Like, I don't know that I could have done that as a high school kid with that pain tolerance and that pain level. And everyone had something. Alex had a foot. Eva had her foot. Like, so, but yeah, Maggie, M, and even Kira off the bench and those guys, I mean, they're going to be huge moving forward. Annabelle Conway, who you didn't really get to see too much, just a bulldog on defense, and is really going to impact winning in the next couple of years for us too. So there's a lot of young kids that we're looking forward to keep having them grow, and they've been through it now, right? Like, so we had 9th graders through this when they were 9th graders, and now they're through it. Morgan the most. Like, Morgan will hit the game-winning shot as an 8th grader against Glen Falls in a 4-12 game. We would have lost and been knocked out of. Morgan had the confidence to shoot it with 8 seconds to go as an 8th grader at Glen Falls, where this all started. So so we hopefully we have a bright future moving forward with the kids we have, and just a matter of, like, going to work every day when we're in the season. And the best part about our group is now everyone plays AAU, right? So some kids will play Elevate, some kids play Capitals, some kids play Havoc. As long as they're playing, we always say, like, as long as they're playing, I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to be there to support them. I don't have an agenda. I don't care where they play. I don't know who they play for. Everyone does a great job locally with the AAU stuff. So, and they're all playing high level. They're going to play against players that are all high school level kids or college level athletes already. So they're only going to get better. Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. That whole States weekend, I was wondering how Morgan was doing it. I didn't understand it. Like, much stronger human being than I am.
Me too. Toughest kid.
I didn't get it.
One of the toughest kids ever. Like, her and Bella, probably the 2 toughest kids I've coached. And Morgan, just to know what Morgan, like, she couldn't walk out of Potsdam. She had to be carried, like, out of the Potsdam to the bus.
She was very lucky to walk in Hudson Valley that whole weekend.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. So she came out of the game and just, like, instant tears, like, it hurt so bad, and she's skying for rebounds. Like,
and all props, honestly, because I remember Ron Hutchins, the trainer you're referring to. I remember him from when the couple years I was at Academy, helping announce here and there, and coaching freshmen for a year with Mike Long Jr. And Ron's great. So
yep.
all props to him for
100%.
having those kids as ready as possible given the situation. So
yeah,
good on him.
No, it's been great.
So you mentioned A's. Obviously, we'd be remiss if we don't mention the one state champion we got out of Section 2 this year. That's Catholic Central. It's I gotta tell you, like, obviously, when people talk about Catholic Central, the obvious players that are always brought up are Dior and Navi.
Yep.
El Dior Dobert and Tanavia Turpin. But I gotta say, throughout sectionals and through states, 2 things I noticed. Well, 3 actually. 1, I didn't know about the existence of Kristen Fogley until I saw them in sectionals. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, that's a difference maker there. 2, the growth from freshman to sophomore year for Gabriella DeBacco, I don't think has been talked about enough.
Sure.
Her defense. I mean, you talk about the Bulldogs you have on defense. Gabriella just doesn't care. She just doesn't care. And then 3rd, just the growth from sectionals through states, and especially that title game when Turpin was in foul trouble. Akari Gaddy was a huge difference maker for that team down the stretch, especially Final Four weekend. And, you know, I don't think enough can be said about the great job Coach DeBacco did with that team this year.
Yeah, no, they weren't fun to play twice. I know that. So Akari's sister Haj, who was at Albany High, just a dog. Like, so she has it in her, and she just, I think once she realizes how good she really is, she's even going to hit another level. But Navi, you would want Navi on any team that you would ever play on. Like, she just puts her head down, gets to where she needs to be, like, plays defense, will block anybody, will guard 1 through 5, doesn't really say much. And then Chris was a huge piece that they need. Like, that's their floor spacer that they needed. That was the difference from this year to last year. Like, that was the floor spacer, and it just made them really hard to guard. And they guard really well. So our games, like our first game of the year was against them because, again, our scheduler is great, and they put the two better teams in the Colonial the first game of the year against each other, which I don't know why you'd want to do that, but, I mean, get it out of the way, I guess, and then wait 16 games to play each other again.
Man.
But that was like a deep breath. Like that game was over, and it was like, oh my God, did anyone breathe during the game? It was the first game in that gym since like 1987, which was like when the Class AA finals was in that gym in Mechanicville too. So,
oh my goodness,
it was the first time anything. So there was a lot of like, I guess, ghosts of basketball past that were in the gym as well. But that was just a crazy game. Like went to overtime, and they ultimately beat us. And just they're just. I don't pity anybody that has to play them at any point. Like they're going to be tough, and the hardest part is you can't really scout. Like, what are you going to scout? Scout driving hard as hell to the hoop. Like, how are you going to scout that?
Right.
Like, it's not a team that you can scout. You just have to. Your kids just have to be tougher, and if they're not tougher, there's no chance.
And the one thing I will say about Tanavia before we move on to the last two classes to cover, not only can she guard 1 through 5. She wants the challenge.
Sure.
She embraces the challenge.
Yep.
Like, I'm trying to remember the name of the girl they played in the final. But when she was not in foul trouble,
yep,
and was being very careful in that range she played the last quarter and a half and went through it with 4 fouls and stayed the rest of the way.
Sure.
She had no problem picking up that guard from 30 feet out and picking up their better shooters from 30 feet out and saying, good luck getting the ball to this person or good luck getting by me, because it ain't happening either way. And if you do get by me, option C, I'm going to swat you, or Gaddy's going to swat you.
Right.
It's like it was amazing to watch in that final. So
yeah,
just crazy.
Yep.
AA. I'm not one to be judgmental about a lot of teams. And I'm not even be judgmental. I'm just kind of curious. I see a lot of great potential in Columbia, man. And I mean, I'm not doubting how really good Bethlehem. Like, I knew Bethlehem was really good going back to December with them. I feel like there's just something missing on that team, but I can't pinpoint what's missing with Columbia.
Yeah.
I think Landy's really good down low.
Yep.
I don't know if it's Kendall needs to shoot more. Kendall Ouimet. I don't know if it's like Sarah Rainville's great. Landy's great. Ouimet, when she's allowed to handle the ball, is great. It's just there's just a missing piece somewhere, and that's nobody's fault. They're just one of those teams where they're really good, but there's just a missing piece, and at least I can't put a finger on it. I don't know if you can, but
they had a really good. It's funny, they had a really good player on JV when our JV team played. I'm like, man, this kid's good. And I think they started a freshman too, right? I think they might have started a freshman at some point, but I don't know. Like that, we played them. I fully expected our game when we played them to just be. It was just going to be a dogfight. And we just turned it up defensively. I think when we were able to play some bigger schools, our girls took it personally a little bit. And but they're not a fun team to play either. When that team's rolling, like we played them the year prior, and when Kendall's really shooting the ball well, and Sarah's kind of doing like the Swiss Army knife stuff, and you got to deal with Liv getting to the rim. I think it's just something like getting to the spot, and maybe next year they'll be in the same spot and they'll be the outcome differently. Like they'll get to that game now that they've been to that game. Because I think last year they had the expectations, right? Like last year they had expectations to make it that far, and it didn't happen. This year they had expectations, they made it that far, and then they lost in a really tough game. But I think he's a good coach, and I think that he has the right pieces in place. It's just a matter of collectively all three of them playing well together at one time. Because they played Bethlehem really tough the first time they played them and went into overtime. So, and Bethlehem also got hot that day. Like Paige shot the ball great, and so did Von Weedle. Like she knocked down some big threes that that were big shots. So, but yeah, I agree. Like there was just something that didn't click in that last game. So.
And with Bethlehem, I'm not sure if this is the best kept secret or worst kept secret. Honestly, don't know how many people have really known about it outside of the Bethlehem School District. This was Coach Wise's last year.
Sure.
I heard through the grapevine that she's retiring at the end of the school year. Again, I don't know if that's a lot really big public knowledge or if I'm breaking news here outside of Bethlehem. So if I am breaking it, apologize. But I mean, you've gotten to see Kim and the work she's done with that program from afar. Obviously, losing somebody like that who's done so much to build that program to what it is right now, that's not an easy spot to fill on that bench right now.
No, definitely not. And being that how big of a district that is and how good some of the other sports have become, and even Coach Irons on the boys' side, like what he's done with the boys' team, and they've kind of been under the radar for 5 years, but they somehow have ended up in the championship game like 4 of the 5 years. But yeah, I think she was a big part of that Bethlehem community, and I'm sure they'll find someone if she's truly leaving that will be a really good replacement to her. So,
and then obviously it would be remiss if we don't bring up the team that went to the Final Four out of AA, Averill Park. It never ceases to amaze me with this program. Now, obviously, I honestly think next year is going to be the first year. And this is credit to Sean Organ and everyone else involved in that program. Scott Keegan, his assistant, Carucci, the JV head coach, Ashley Ciampito, I think the modified coach is what she is. They have a machine there, man. Like it's ridiculous. And I think this next season coming up with Taylor Holohan leaving, Tatiana Toon leaving. I mean, yes, they still have Wolleber and Ferrardi and Ahern, but this might be the most challenging year that program has had in a good decade as far as, like, it's almost like coming down, I don't want to say coming down to earth, but, like, it's going to be a legit challenge for them to get through AA next year because, I mean, Bethlehem's still going to be around. Columbia's still going to be around, like we've mentioned.
Catholic High is a AA.
Yeah, and I think I know Burnt Hills with Kevin Winnie they're building back up, and they're young, and they're going to be only getting better with all the youth they have involved. So it's going to be very interesting. But as far as this season's concerned, obviously Taylor's Taylor. Tatiana is just a pivotal, piece in making things go. But Ahern and Verardi were big parts of their success this year as well.
Yeah, no, they were great. Like we scrimmaged them early on in the year, and it's funny because I think Sean obviously is a defensive guy, and it's defense. So you play them early, and they just like when we scrimmaged them early in the season, it was just rough. Like our girls weren't even ready for it yet. They weren't ready for that contact and physicality. We had just started practicing, and they were already physically ready to roll. Like they were already in it and defensive, like ready to get into it. So I don't think like. They may struggle a little bit early, but the way that they've built that culture and the way that they have their players that play, like Sean, I mean, he's no disrespect to anybody else that's local, but I feel like he's our best coach in all of Section 2 at times. I just feel like just year after year, it's like, all right, Averill Park, that's what they call like Hudson Valley, like Averill Park East or West or whatever they may call it. I mean, the crowds that they get to, I mean, they had the whole town of Averill Park there it's insane. And we got some of it with my assistant coach being his sister. So we got some Averill Park love sometimes from some of the girls and watching some of our games and things like that. But I would never count them out against that. Ahern and Verardi as they're just tough. Like it's just, sometimes toughness can overcome a lot. So they're just going to be tough no matter where they play. And they play in a league that they're going to get challenged, right? Like he plays a really good schedule, plays really good teams, always tries to play teams that are above him in AAA, AA. They beat Lourdes by 21 in their own tournament. We played Lourdes behind them too and lost by a point the day after. But like they had some really good wins, and they're obviously losing Taylor and Tot, who's the glue person, I would think, obviously, like just the screens that she sets, like they're atomic screens. Like you don't call that screen out, like forget about your shoulders. Because we got hit with a few of them and scrimmages, and the girls didn't love them, but like it's part of, hey, you need to call screens out. Then it's not her fault. So, but it's so fun to watch them play and how connected the teams are and how the bench is, and so he does a great job, and I'm lucky to be able to have some kind of a little relationship, whether we text back and forth, just good luck or anything like that. So.
Yeah, gee, I wonder how that relationship. Colleen, that's right.
Yeah,
that helps a little bit too. And then obviously AAA's. It's funny because I think there's some people out there that were like, "Wow, how did it come down to Shaker and Colony?"
Sure,
but I got to be real. I've been watching the Shaker program the last few years because they're always at the Amsterdam Holiday Showcase every Christmas break. I've always kept close tabs on Colony because assistant coach George Pearson has been a good friend of mine for years.
Yep.
If you have been watching these two programs building up for what a lot of people call the surprise, I didn't think it was that much of a surprise because AAA may be small,
right,
but those four programs, those three and Shenandoah Hoa, dogfights.
Yep.
Absolute dogfights every time. And seeing Colony eventually winning that, I mean, hats off to them because the AAA is never going to be easy going forward in the girls' side.
Never. And it's funny that you said so we actually scrimmaged. I knew it was coming. We scrimmaged Shaker that Sunday before they played. I think it was they had to wait forever to play. So it might have been their semifinal game because they get a bye.
Yeah, because they played they played a quarterfinal game early, but then they had like a week and a half off until their semifinal. Yeah.
Yeah. So we scrimmaged them that Sunday. They gave us everything. I think it was like 55, 54 final score. Not that you keep track of this, but whatever the points add up to, it was right there. Like they have all the pieces, and they're still really young, and their guard like Jayla Jeter, she's great. Like I like how she plays. They have some pieces. Obviously, Peyton Hoblock is Peyton Hoblock. She's going to be tough to guard. The
Lanny sisters are going to be very good.
Yeah, they're the Lanny sisters. They're figuring out how to play. So I could see it. And then Colony, obviously the surprise a little bit because everyone's been saying Colony for the last 2 years before this year. They had the team in place. Like they've had this team. You knew this team was coming. I remember being like Capital District and be like, oh, George's team, 7th grade graders, like 20-0, 20-0, 20-0. Like, so you saw this group coming. It was a matter of, all right, are they too young yet to get there? And they lost like Division II players last year that were playing with them, and they lost players before that were Division II players, and they just Annalise Pearson, it's Annalise, I think, right? Who is that? The sister that was playing?
Annalise is the one that is graduating from RPI.
RPI. So
Aaliyah is the one that's
the younger one. So like her calm and cool and collective, how collected she was in that game, like that would what put them over. Like, and she never really rushed anything. There was nothing rushed about anything she was doing. And that game got a little crazy and hectic, and she never sped herself up. So that was great to watch. And
there's a common thread though to all 6 of these teams that won the sectionals this year. And I'm sure A, you'll agree with me at least to a certain degree, and B, it's going to lead to an interesting question I have for you. Class D, Northville. She's really more of a 2, but honestly, Haley Monroe is the true point guard of that team.
Sure.
Class C, Alex Moses, great point guard play.
Yep.
Class B, I'll be bold. Leanna Williams was the best point guard in Section 2 this year. And that's not me trying to puff you up. It's just me being honest. I thought overall Leanna was the best total package point guard. And I think Aaliyah Pearson for Colony was like right there, basically. And then obviously El Giorgio Bear for Catholic Central. Phenomenal. And then I'd say the point guard position is kind of interchangeable with Ahern and Verardi, depending on the play that's called for Haverhill Park. But again, the key thing I'm trying to point out, though, is that you can have a lot of great talent, but that point guard I mean, they're like the de facto captain typically on any good team. And the point guard play across the board, phenomenal for all 6 of those teams.
Yep.
I mean, as a coach, how important is that position to you? Like, do you view that as like number one, like I need to have that somebody that I'm like this with?
Sure.
Or is it more of it kind of like you're looking for just a general leader no matter where they're playing at?
No, I think the point guard position, if you even look in the college level, like you look at the boys and the girls side, like the men and the women's side of the NCAA tournament, who's winning these games. It's funny, it's switched from whoever has the biggest players to who has the best guard play. So it's really translated over and over to like the high school level of like the guard play sometimes, most of the time will win you games. Obviously our game, the big has killed us, but point guard play gets you to where you want to be and setting things up and things like that. And having someone with a steady, calm hand, like that's absolutely what everybody had that won a sectional title this year, that everyone had a point guard of some sort that just understood what the coach wanted to do and is a direct, they have like the direct line. So, right. Like sometimes in Gino Orientem says it the best, like he's not great friends with Diana Taurasi. Like they're still not best friends because he was so hard on her as the point guard. But again, like she'll come out and say like, we're okay together, but we don't love each other anymore. Like that point guard, you're the hardest on because they're a direct correlation of how you want things done. So they have to be they're your leader on the court. So like you are me on the court directing everything. So the crazy part about it all, right, is that with Dior being a 9th grader, 10th grader, you have Liana, a 10th grader, you have Pearson, a 9th grader, you have Jeter, a 9th grader. Like these kids, you're going to see for the next 4 years. Like they're already here. That sometimes is the craziest thing. You think, all right, this team's experienced. And you look and they're like, these kids are 14 years old, maybe 15, and they're leading their teams like to championships. So I think that class of 27 and 26, not that
Crazy.
25 doesn't have the same kind of players or anything, but we had that class like 4 years ago or 5 years ago with Grace's class and those guys that came through. Like it's another one of those crazy classes that you could get 4 or 5 Division I kids, 4 or 5 Division II kids, whatever it may be, like out of those classes, which is just insane for one section to have. Like it doesn't happen too much to have college players, let alone if you have Division I kids. So
the message is sectionals is going to be fun the next few years.
Oh, it'll be great to watch.
So get out and see those games as much as you can. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. These games are crazy. It's funny you mentioned Gino because real quick, just to kind of surmise that, you think about the timeline of Gino Orientem at UConn, like his first big success there was turning around Rebecca Lobo.
Sure.
And like, yeah, he's had a couple other taller girls that have come through there and had some good success. I think Nikisha Sales was one of them.
Yep.
Brianna Stewart, she's more of a stretch big, but still she's tall. Cady Lou Samuelson, I think, was also came through that program. But recently, you mentioned Taurasi, Sue Bird, obviously right now Paige Beckers, Aziz Foodie. Like it's become more and more guard centric for him over the years, even though he's still getting a ton of McDonald's All-Americans in all the positions.
Right.
You know, it's become, like you said, more guard centric. Where yes, he still has real good players down the blocks, but it's really been about Aziz before she got hurt and Paige and that guard play to really help set the tone for the team.
Yeah. It's crazy. Mariah Jefferson, who was a great guard there too, and she had like Nafisa Collier and those guys, but Sanaya Chung, who we actually played against in the AAU, she played for a different AAU team in New York City, which some kids won't understand, but she sat the bench for 3 years as the player of the year in New York State, as a McDonald's All-American, sat behind Mariah Jefferson for 3 years and then got her shot as her senior to be able to play. Now, we probably won't ever see that again, like with the transfer portal the way it is, like because kids are told one thing and sometimes it doesn't happen and they have the right to move if they want to. That's a whole nother discussion. But she sat there and waited for 3 years to play I don't even know what her career minutes are. Like, and she was like a 2,000-point scorer in high school. So it comes down to just get in where you fit in. That's what someone said that. I don't know who. One of the coaches around here always says it. So, but it's true. Like, wherever you go, wherever you feel like you're wanted the most. And but yeah, UConn's fun to watch. And then the teams that we have coming here, South Carolina, LSU, those kind of teams. Like, LSU is kind of built without a lead guard, so it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to watch them play. They don't really have a true point. Like, there's not a true point that I feel like they play a bunch of really good 2s and 3s, but then South Carolina has like a true point. So
right. Going to be for me. I mean, obviously, everybody's going to be all about Caitlin Clark, and rightfully so. You know,
Sure.
all the records she set. I got to tell you, the team. I know we're going off on a weird tangent for a quick second here. The team I would say to watch for in those 2 Albany regionals. Watch Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the great talent in the world.
Yep.
But they are so bought into Coach Ivy.
Yep.
And love that coach so darn much.
Yep.
I don't care. I think right now you could put just about any other team in front of them right now.
Yep.
And they'll at least give you a heck of a game, if
Sure.
not beat you. Like,
Sure.
that team is dialed in. They're focused. And a lot of it's actually, I feel like they're just like, not they had to rally around their coach. They're top 10 in the country.
Sure.
But that Coach Ivy's got them running on all cylinders right now. So
and the Centrone kid, like we played, like, I remember watching her as a junior when she played with the Hoopers down in the city, like watching her, like, all right, this kid's going to be good. She's like 6'6", 6'1" already. She can do this. She can do this. So I think Colorado too, right? Colorado won early in the season.
Sneaky good, yeah.
Like, they're in the way Iowa played last game. Iowa plays like that next game. They're not going to beat Colorado.
No, absolutely not.
It'll be fun to see though. Like, it's a crazy spotlight that the girls' sessions. I mean, there's tickets. I have tickets, obviously, but I mean, they're like 14,000 people going to watch a girls' game. You couldn't have said that last time. Last time it came here, there wasn't 14,000 people in that building. There was 7,500 maybe, and it was UConn that was playing. So
it wasn't that long ago either.
No, like 3 years ago. It was UConn, Louisville. Like, the really good teams played.
Yeah.
So it's really great. Like, it's just great that the spotlight has definitely changed over to the girls' side. Like, and whether anyone thinks Caitlin Clark's the best player or whether she's not the best player in the country, like, Gino thinks that his kid's the best player, but the general spotlight that she's put on has been like, you couldn't ask for anything more. Like, you have boys wearing Caitlin Clark shirts, and they know more. Like, they had a thing in the article I read. Like, they asked a group of boys, like, 4 players for the women's tournament, and they named them, and they asked 4 players for the men's tournament. They couldn't name them. So that didn't happen. Like, 2 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. So,
and the amazing part, it all can feed right into the WNBA this coming spring.
Right.
Which is scary to think about.
It is. And imagine her game. She's going to be in Indianapolis playing. Like, she's in Indiana. She's going to end up Indiana, number 1 pick. So if that's any tradition, anything, and it'll be crazy. And her connection, obviously, to us, back to Siena, is Connor McCaffrey, like, who's working for Indiana. So it will work out.
Oh, man. If only she could play at Hudson Valley. Oh, man.
Dude, what would your call be for?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I'd have to have like a whole phone book directory of places in front of me for that. All right, real quick before we wrap up. I know we went much longer than anticipated, but not this coming weekend, but next weekend, April 6th and 7th, Saturday and Sunday. The network session 1, I know you, I think it's Matt Oswald, I believe. And Tom Herder, you guys are a big part of putting together Elevate and then helping put this together with a bunch of really good programs. You can see right there, Vibes, which is, I believe that's Tay Fisher's program meshing with, who did they, was it Athena's they teamed up with this year?
Yep.
Obviously, Capital's on their I-90 Elite program I'm very familiar with from my time around the Sparks.
Yep.
Cap City Scrappers. I mean, there are a lot of legit programs involved that obviously Elevate. which like I mentioned, you and Tom and Matt are a part of. How did this all come together with the network and getting such great programs to be able to, you know, put together this compilation and put together a great weekend of AAU basketball coming up?
Sure. So yeah, so we have more. So some of those teams, even like Cap City and Capitals, are really just fill-ins for the weekend that we kind of got. So this was a brainchild of Matt, Oswalt, and Tom. They had talked last year, kind of like, hey, we're going to go to these tournaments, whether it's a local tournament or whether you travel to go do it. Like, you're going to go play in 2 games probably where you win by 40. Like, ultimately, that's just how AAU works. So we thought, well, why can't we just collectively get a group of people, the coaches that have the same kind of mindset, and put them all together and find a spot. Like, now Impact is where our other tournament, when we have it in June, is going to be, and run kind of our own little thing, like our own little network of teams that are all like in for it, whether we need to like spread the word to other coaches for each other, but like network together where we're not against each other. We're kind of for each other. So that's kind of how this started. So we have teams that aren't here. Like, so Empire Blue Flames, which you saw plenty of the girl that plays for them on Albertus Magnus, Julia Scott, like, is crazy. So Empire Blue Flames, Mass Rivals are part of this as well. And then Bay State's going to hop in when they can. They are all away at the Final Four for women. It just so happened we didn't realize it was going to be the Final Four weekend when we were planning it back in December. So we did add some local teams and some local people to it, but we have some really good players coming. Like, we're just going to run this just like a regular kind of tournament, just round robin. Everyone's going to play 4 games, 3 or 4 games right on the campus of academies, in our 4 gyms that we have, or four courts that we have. It's going to be really good teams. Like, there's Matt obviously has some really good players on Team Northeast with, and you saw one of his kids that plays for, up in Buffalo. I can't think of her name right now. I don't know why, but I'm drawing a blank. But she's got offers from all the different schools, and Maine Firecrackers, Albie, he does a great job. He actually went to St. Rose. So, and then our local teams, Cap City and Athena's and Capitals, were able to jump in and get some games. So it'll be a fun thing. It's basically, we're working together, not against each other, and we're just trying to get better games for the kids when they're not playing in live tournaments. Like, what's the point of going to like a New Hampshire or Vermont or somewhere? Like, every team we have in it's within 2 hours away, like 2.5 hours of where we're trying to play. So it just made sense. Like, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. So, and everybody's in it. Like, everyone's part of it. Everyone's a share of it. It's not anything about making money or everything. Everyone's just thrown in, and we're going to rent facilities and play and get good referees, all the different Section 2 refs and all certified referees. So it should be a fun time.
If it makes dollars, it makes sense. You're full of them today. Oh, man. All right. Well, king of the one-liners. No, I'm kidding. So, yeah, once again, I'll just put it up real quick again. So August, wow, way ahead of myself. April 6th and 7th on the campus of the Albany Academy. So might assume you're going to be using both the gym down at the field house on Hackett Boulevard and the gym up in on the girls' side of Academy Road.
Yeah, we have that. And then if you haven't been there before, so behind our field house, we have a 60,000 square foot facility that was built as an indoor track.
Correct. Yep.
That has 2 full-size, actually, like 92-foot courts. So they're not even 84 feet. They're 92 feet that are next to each other, so we have those 4 courts, 15U through 17U, so all the high school teams, and everybody's pretty much bringing their 3 teams. So we'll have like close to 20 teams that are going to play in it. We're going to start like that Saturday we can control the times too, right? Like, we're going to start that Saturday at 11, be done by 5, and then start on Sunday at 9 and have everybody out of there by 3 o'clock. Like, we're not trying to push people that have to travel, where sometimes you can't control your schedule. You get home at 9:30, you got to go to work the next day. People got to go to practices. So, but I would definitely, I think minimal admission just to cover some of the expenses that they have. But
Right.
It'll be a bunch of really good girls basketball that's going on, and it's right in our backyard. So I would say anybody that's able to come, definitely come watch. Like, if you're just a fan of girls basketball and we're on a high right now, I would say come and watch some out of area teams. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't been to AAU. When's the last time I went to an AAU tournament? I don't know. It's been a few years. I know that. But that with those programs, I'm there. I'm there.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun thing.
So yeah. So that's next Saturday and Sunday, April 6th and 7th, not August 6th and 7th, like I almost said. And if you need, if anybody wants more information about the event, where can they go?
So they can go. So we have a little bit of. We'll end up on our social media. So anything. So on X or Twitter, whatever it may be, we have the network as our Twitter account. We'll also get stuff out on social media with the different programs that are coming, whether it be Elevate NYBC on Instagram or Facebook, Maine Firecrackers and Athena's, things like that, have retweeted stuff on Twitter and their Facebooks and stuff. But we'll get schedules out to everybody. Hopefully we're inviting all the different coaches that can come from the D2 and D3s. Because it's not a live, so Division I coaches cannot be there, which just makes sense to not have to go anywhere when no one can really watch you anyway. But we'll try to stream all the game for all the girls so they can get game film out of it. So we're really just trying to create something that doesn't exist right now. So,
all right, man. Well, don't worry about the Twitter next thing. You can see on the bottom.
I just hate X. Twitter. Like, what's X?
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. But anyways. So that wraps up the first episode of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. Longer than anticipated, but that's what happens when you have a really good interview with two guests at the same time. That
was great.
So yeah, as you can see on the bottom, crawl as I had during the second half of the episode. We're on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, at 84 Feet Podcast. Give it a follow. We'll provide all kinds of show updates. We might even tease in advance who the interview is for the next episode. As we go the next episodes as we go along, I'm saying. So that we're also on Facebook. You just gotta search 84 Feet with Cady and Cap right there. And if you have any questions, if you want to submit maybe requests for who we can bring on the show to talk shop with, 84 Feet Podcast, that's number 84 Feet Podcast at gmail.com. We're getting things done. We're getting it done.
We love it.
And obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a follow, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so you know every time a new episode drops, which will be every Friday morning, it looks like. So as we're set up right now, recording this on Tuesday, March 26th. So any parting words before we wrap this up, Cap?
No, I appreciate us doing this. For anyone who doesn't know, 84 feet is the length of a normal high school basketball gym.
Correct.
Obviously, when they're playing in sectionals, it gets bigger as they go to bigger courts. But that's where the 84 feet comes from. If anyone wasn't sure where the 84 feet came from. So
right. Yeah, I'll leave that like that. But yes, that is correct. Absolutely. By the way, big props to Cap. He's the one that created the banners you see in either corner here at the top of the screen. Better than I would have done, because me and Photoshop, me and anything graphics related, nah, I'm good. Anyways, so once again, thank you for checking out the debut episode, and we'll catch you again next week. In the meantime, enjoy the college March Madness. Enjoy the Sweet 16s, the Elite Eights, and we'll catch you next week for a little bit more of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. Adios.
See you guys.